Can't believe I actually wrapped that. I guess I could show you how I did it.
I told you sneaky cat smash, sneaky cat smash.
Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So, if you didn't watch the last video, go watch it. I did take off the front bumper support and I actually took off the rear also. One of them's 22, the other one's about 17 pounds. And so, pretty decent weight savings. Thought it might be a little more, but these actually aren't as heavy as I thought they were. But that's not what today's video is on. So if you want to see that, go watch my last video on lightning the boat. So today we are actually finally working on the Ram 2500. So as you guys know or don't know, that right there, it's kind of blown out, but that's my Ram 2500. It's my daily driver. I traded in my F-150 and my Gixxer 600 to get that because I did have plans to tow my car to some races and to some tracks this fall for some better DA, and that is to come, obviously. But so I haven't really done much to it. I had some plans for it, and then kind of got really focused on the Challenger, and I still really am mainly focused on the Challenger, but I've kind of got some downtime right now, and I found this extra satin black wrap. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm actually going to black out some of the chrome on the truck. I'm gonna wrap the door handles. So if you don't know, Misa, Illustrious Auto Styling, used to live with us here in Texas. He has a shop in California where he does full wraps, such as crazy shit like this. And he wrapped my car, the Demon, the Trackhawk. He's wrapped tons of cars, and he's got a huge resume of cars. And he left some vinyl wrap here, and so I'm gonna attempt to wrap my door handles. I've already wrapped one of them and it came out decent, so I figured I'd show you how I did it, and we'll see if we can wrap the other ones. The front ones will be a little bit tougher because they do have the small sensor push button little thing for the unlock and lock on the door handles, so I have to figure out how we do that. But I bought the truck and I hated the chrome on it. I wanted to get everything painted to match, but the deal that we worked out, this is the truck that I could get for trading in my F-150 and my bike at the same time while not totally losing my ass. So I did get a Laramie Longhorn, which is what my truck is, and it does have a lot of chrome on it. So I contemplated going with the chrome look for a while, but I really want to black everything out now, and I do have black badges on the way. I've got the Ram horn badges already in black. I just haven't put those on yet. And I'm trying to decide what other badges I want to do, but I'm going to order some tonight. But anyways, let's get to today's video where I'm wrapping the door handles on my Ram 2500. So just some basic tools you'll need. Heat gun, obviously, or you can use a torch. The only thing with the torch is it gets a lot hotter faster, so you want to be real careful with that. Some alcohol. Misa left this cool bottle. Some rubbing alcohol or it's like some goof off, something to get all the wax and grease off of the door handle to make sure you're wrapping a clean surface. Razor blade, putty knife, whatever. And I have this little plastic. This is kind of like a putty knife with a sharp edge. It's almost like a plastic razor blade. But yeah, you can use this or a plastic razor blade. And what I did was I used this to kind of tuck the edges without cutting. That way you can press against the paint without messing up the paint, or you can press against the chrome without cutting it. You don't want to use this to press the edges. You're just strictly using the knife to cut kind of around the area. So let me show you the one I already did. So this one actually came out pretty decent. There's a couple adhesive lines. These aren't bubbles, these are adhesive lines. And I think what happened was I got it too hot, too fast. But honestly, if you ask me, I wrapped that pretty good. So not too bad. So I'll show you what the door handle looks like on the other side. So here's before. So it comes from here all the way to here, and the chrome goes back here. So you want to try and cut or tuck back here as best as possible. Now the front door handles, the driver and the passenger, like I said, they have this little button for the lock, unlock, and probably either have to cut that out really precisely or get it hot enough and the vinyl can press in there. But after time, this button may lift. Now on my Hellcat, it's got a button up top. Let me show you on Kevin's Hellcat since his is right here right now. I believe he has the same button. Let's see if his is cut out. So see, he's got the same button right there, but Misa cut that out. And on mine, we actually left it, and it still has never lifted the door handle, this little button coming up and down. So I guess we'll try it, and if it starts to lift the vinyl, then we'll cut around it. Size of the square that I cut out compared to the door handle. So lots of overlap. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna peel this back first, we're gonna heat it up, and we're gonna stretch it over the door handle as tight as we can and try and get it as smooth as possible here. But first we gotta clean this. All right, so what I did first was I got my anchor points here to start with, and then I heated up the vinyl just a little bit. Like I said, be real careful how hot you get it. And then I stretched it over while pulling down and up at the same time, trying to get this first spot as smooth as possible. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat along here and kind of just press it and pull it a little bit to follow the line as smooth as possible. But just be very careful. You don't want to overheat it and overstretch it. So you want to just, what I found out worked best on this one was just giving it a little bit of heat at a time, kind of moving it, kind of pressing it to follow the line of the handle, and then put some more heat on it, let the heat off, kind of work it. So it's kind of give it a little bit of heat, work the shape, and then bring a little bit of more heat if you need to. So we're gonna follow the shape already. Don't get too close with it. And so you can see now it wants to follow the shape here a lot easier. It's gonna form a lot easier. So you can see it doesn't have enough heat here, so it's real tight right here. But over here, see, it wants to form to the shape because it's soft enough and it's loose enough. You hope that's not what he said. But yeah, so need a little more heat here, and then we can really press it to follow the shape towards the back a little more. And you can see here's the button here. So what we'll try is to get this a little bit hotter, see if we can press it in a little bit, and if not, we're just gonna cut that button. Pro tip here, get all the vinyl hot up top too. That way it's easier to push down, or else you have this vinyl that's not heated up and then you can't pull it as much, because then you're pushing here, but the top part is pulling because it's so tight. So we're just gonna work it, form the shape. Usually you wanna do this with like a glove or something so you can form the shape a little easier. That way you're not getting fingerprints all over it. But I don't have a glove. I think OJ Simpson has my glove, probably. So we're just working the shape here. See, it's starting to form around corners. So I found the best way is just low heat. I mean, if you're experienced, like someone like Misa, or you work at a shop, or you do this all the time, you're probably good enough where you can go fast with high heat. But being a beginner and not doing this ever, I think low heat and taking your time with it is probably the best way to go, because once you overstretch it or you get the vinyl too hot and it wants to tear, well, then you're screwed and you have to start the whole door handle over. So just low heat and kind of take your time with it. I've pretty much got the shape here. Now remember, this is painted, so the door handle, the chrome part is just from here to over here. So you can see I've pretty much got my shape here. So I've tried to push it as hard as I can against these little, right in the little grooves here, because you want to tuck that, you want to be able to tuck that after you cut the vinyl here. And I've worked the button as best as I can. I don't know, I think I should cut it. So we'll see. After I cut the actual door handle out, then I'll probably cut the button out. But you can see, I've also got the bottom pretty much worked. It wraps down and around just like the top does. So you don't want to start doing your relief cuts just yet. I mean, I'm not a professional, I'm just saying. I'm kind of doing this. You would think I would have learned from Misa already, but I didn't really pay attention to anything he was doing because he annoys me. Just kidding. But so I don't think you want to cut your relief cuts until the last possible point, which would be now, because you want to have some vinyl to work with. If you cut it out right away, then you've got no vinyl to pull and stretch. So what I think is best is work the shape as much as you can around the edges and corners and into the little crevices and grooves. Work the shape as much as you can, and then you want to start cutting out the door handle. But if you cut the door handle, or if you cut this piece too small right away, then you've got no vinyl to pull and to stretch to the shape of the actual door handle. So now I'm gonna start cutting it out. So I'm gonna take this little plastic blade and kind of push around the edges. You might have to add a little more heat, but you want to start, before you cut it actually, you kind of want to work these edges around with this little plastic razor blade. So you want to see how it's starting to tuck back there. So you might have to add a little bit of heat, but you want to start tucking it back all the way around before you actually cut it. So I'm going to add just a little bit of heat on these edges and kind of start tucking these back around those grooves back here, and then we'll actually cut the handle out. Okay, so I've kind of worked it around the edges as best as I could. Now what I did on the other one, which worked out better for me, was I did a little relief cut up top. Just be careful you don't cut your paint, or do, you know, it's your paint, not mine, so I don't really care. So I did a little relief cut, and what that allowed me to do was to further work these edges in now. So I'll add a little bit of heat to this extra piece, and then I'll really make sure these edges are covered before finally cutting out the entire handle. So do that on the top and the bottom. Now the sides, there's plenty of give here, but with all the pull coming straight from the top and from the bottom, you'll want to cut just a little relief cut so you can finish tucking this behind here, because there's a little bit of chrome that's right here on this corner. So you want to make sure you tuck that corner nice and good and push this down. Maybe add a little bit of heat, like I said, just to kind of work some of the wrinkles out. But you just want to push it down, make sure all that chrome is covered before you do your final cut, because it's right back here where the chrome ends. I'll show you on the other side here. So you can see the chrome still wraps around. It's got that little ridge on the back, and you see it dips down into this corner. So you want to make sure you work the vinyl all the way down there. So we did a relief cut so we can push it down, and then we'll make our final cut. Alright guys, so it's not perfect cut, but it's actually not too bad. I think I did better on that one, honestly, but just underneath my cut wasn't perfect. There's a little bit of chrome you can see in the corner right there showing, but I didn't end up cutting this little button out, so we'll see how it lasts. If it starts pulling up around it, we'll just cut it. But what you want to do is kind of end with just a little bit of heat. Make sure you go around the corners, and you kind of want to just run your hand over it. Guys, make sure everything is down nice and tight, and the vinyl is kind of cured into the shape. So because if it's not hot enough, don't get it hot enough, it's not gonna stay to the form of the handle. So you want to make sure it gets hot enough to go around the shape of the door handle. So just a little bit of curing heat. Alright guys, so there's the driver handle. Same thing, I didn't cut the button out, but if it starts lifting, we'll cut it out. Alright guys, so here's the finished product. Like I said, not perfect, but pretty decent. You can see it's not perfect around the corners. Wrinkled just a little, but honestly not bad. Let's go a little far away. Yeah, I definitely like the black a lot better than the chrome, especially once I start deleting more of the chrome. So let me know what you guys think below. Do you think the black looks better than the chrome on the door handles, or does it just look flat out stupid? But make sure you guys always comment, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram and Snapchat at Vanvy39. And if you want to attempt this yourself, it's not really that hard. It's more time consuming and just kind of getting a feel for working the vinyl around. Now, obviously a full car I would never attempt. I don't have time for that, the patience, and that's a lot of work, and you do have to have a skill. And vinyl wrapping is a skilled trade, and they're small door handles, and they're not perfect. So if you want it perfect, definitely use a professional. But if you want to try small pieces here and there, might as well try it, right? Frickin' fly! See you guys on the next one.